Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. All right, big topic tonight. So I'll be talking about vegan, fruitarian lifestyle, and sex, and libido, and all these interesting things that everybody wants to hear about, but nobody wants to talk about. It's kind of like, And another topic, periods, okay? Periods with fruitarian women, why the periods disappear, why we have all kinds of hormonal things while we detoxing. So this is going to be a cute video, also a little bit taboo, controversial. Figures a cool aspect about why vegans and fruitarians particularly would have lower libido, or would be less horny, or wouldn't have as much sex as, for instance, meat eaters. And first, let's talk about adrenal gland stimulation. So meat, dairy, eggs are extremely stimulating for adrenal glands. So as you know, in meat, that fear before the animal dies, that adrenaline can really stimulate your adrenal glands and makes you horny. So if you eat a lot of meat, if you eat a lot of dairy, that suffering of the animals and that, and this release of fear hormones and adrenaline will stimulate your adrenals and will make you turn you into this beast that just wants to go around and have sex with everything and everybody. Pretty much, What happens when you remove these stimulants, right? Which is like, once you become vegan, these things go away. So at first, a lot of vegans maybe notice they're calming down, and all of a sudden, other things in the relationship and in their partners start to become more important. How, the conversations they have with them, one night stands are not so often. We start to appreciate the, mental aspect of bonding with somebody else. So another level then on fruitarian diet, what happens, you go even more into spiritual world, because your consciousness starts to lift up, because if you're eating highly energetical food that doesn't smell, it's not stimulating in any way, you will feel very spiritually connected to the nature, connected to other people, connected to yourself way more. And we're noticing that, in fruitarian diet, people really bond with somebody who is very vibrating on that level, and a million other things are important besides sex. And physical satisfaction and bonding in a sexual way is great, but I feel that this bonding becomes more interesting. We practice Kama Sutra, we want to connect on all levels, not only on physical level, but also on emotional level, also on spiritual level with that person. So sex becomes the way how you connect with other people, and it's not anymore release of energy and just sometimes even negativity, right, and anger with somebody. And I can tell you, I was vegan, basically I'm vegan 28 years, 45 years without meat, and my sexual drive was pretty high, as soon as I entered when I was 16 years old, and then later, I have to say there was nothing wrong with me, and of course, living in New York City, you fall in love 10 times on the one block, it's a lot of attractive people. Later, I would say, later in life, I really became picky, and I had problems because I was searching for this ultimate connection, somebody who is intellectual. I share a lot intellectual interests, somebody who I share, vision of the future, vision of the world, somebody who is vegan like myself, despite the fact that I'm married, completely meat eater. After a year, when he became actually vegan, our relationship became way better. We connected so much better. And I gotta tell you, like, I'm married to an angel now, he's Fruitarian as well, mostly at least. And I can tell you, like, how much relationship is easier, how much we understand each other better. Before we would fight and there would be a lot of conflicts between us. And now, like, after 12 years of being together, I feel we get along better than ever. We appreciate and cherish and respect each other. And this is something that I believe it was not only just with us fitting in as people very well, but diet had to do a lot with it, really a lot of it. But let's go to the physical side. So we said already, adrenals, when they're stimulated, we're more horny, but at the same time, people that consume animal products, their veins and their whole body is way filled with with saturated fat, which is really problematic for cardiovascular health. And they have problems. I'm going to show you the clip from the Game Changers.
Down in the exam room. When I think of a manly man, I think of somebody who has strength, endurance, sexual prowess, and fertility. And in fact, what the scientific studies are showing is that the more meat men eat, the more quickly they lose their manly manhood.
The blood test with the Miami Dolphins measured how a single meal could affect blood flow throughout the entire body. I asked Dr. Spitz if he could conduct an experiment with 3 collegiate athletes, but this time on a more specific part of the male anatomy.
So, here's a model of a penis.
Dr. Spitz is the lead delegate of urology for the American Medical Association. When it comes to the penis, he literally wrote the book.
Now you're going to be putting this device on yourself. One ring goes on the base of the penis, and the other ring goes on at the tip of the penis, just behind the head of the penis, but knows how tight to squeeze to know when an erection is starting, because when it squeezes, it'll determine, it's now of a larger circumference, something's happening. What we're going to look at is what effect the meal you have has on your erections that night. And you're going to be eating 2 different kinds of meals. For this study, on the first night, we gave the guys burritos that had meat. Beef, chicken, pork, but really high quality meats, grass-fed, organic. On the second night, we gave them very similar burritos, but we swapped out the animal portions for plant-based protein.
That's really good. I thought this was gonna be nasty, not gonna lie. I didn't think we were gonna get a burrito, I thought we were gonna get a salad.
This study is going to take advantage of a natural function that occurs in men when they sleep. Men's bodies create erections, and this occurs throughout the night while the subject is asleep. Once an erection happens, this device can sense it, and a printout is generated of how firm the erection was, how long it lasted, and how many of them there were, to see if we can see a physical effect on erections as a result of what they just ate for dinner. This is where we take a look at the results. So Mason, I'm going to give you your results first. Let you take those out. Okay. The bigger the circumference, the harder the erection. And so you'll notice that that first circle, which is the meat meal, is not as big a circle, it's not as hard an erection as that second circle, vegan meal. Now let's look at the second sheet. The second sheet is a accumulation of how many erections and for how long you had over the course of the night. So that first stubby graph is really, it's not the size of your penis. It's not the size of your penis. It's how many minutes throughout the night you had erections.
Wow. While all this talk about erections was interesting, it also made me wonder about hormones, specifically testosterone.
I've never eaten a piece of meat in my entire life, and I've never had an issue with testosterone. I've gotten blood tests, and all my levels are right where they need to be, and clearly I don't have any trouble building muscle.
Studies comparing men who eat animal foods with men who don't have consistently demonstrated no difference in testosterone levels.
In energy level, cardiovascular health, duration, how long you can go on, also in sports, also in general, in everywhere where it has to be like a physical activity that is, you know, pushing your powers to the limits. I can tell you, like, I can walk 50 miles and I don't feel tired. So, you know, same with, you know, physical contact or sexual relationship or sexual act. You know, if your veins and if your muscles are more erect and more, you know, healthy, if the blood is coming into all of your parts better, let's talk about the vagina, let's talk about penis, you know, of course the sex is going to be much more enjoyable and much more fun, and you're going to last longer. And unlike what people think, people after they eat meat, they go coma. You know, they get tired. All of their energy goes into digesting, you know, this animal products. But if people that eat vegetables and fruits, especially with fruits, the digestion is like really fast. You digest really fast, and you get a lot of natural sugar in your brain. So you're really active, and also in your muscles. So you can really, really do, you know, physical activities really fast, and also everything else, right? So that would be that. So libido, right? Libido, I would say it's like different things. I would say vegans and fruitarians have way higher libido, but because they're more conscious and because they're more aware and want to connect with other people on a different level, they don't just go around and sleep with whoever, you know? They don't see, like, you know, I can tell you, like, also vegan men will be more respectful to women because they're more respectful to animals. This is a fact. You know, also fruitarians, fruitarian men are the sweetest men. I can't even tell you, like, you know, this respect and level of, they're also not afraid of feminine side, to reveal their feminine side, because we all have feminine and male side, you know, inside of us. And, you know, what this world needs is probably a little bit more of a feminine energy, because this male dominated, you know, energy is not giving us a good shot of surviving next 100 years. And your erection and your duration in bed is going to be very limited and quite lower from vegans and vegans, not vegetarians, but vegans and fruitarians, and raw vegans, of course. I also want to mention something. So cows are filled up with a lot of fertility hormones. So what we're noticing, especially in the last 10 years, that young girls, they're getting way bigger breasts and hips and butts. And their sexual desire comes sooner because, you know, they're filled up with, like, by eating cheese and ice creams and, you know, milk and all this dairy products. Of course, also processed foods and so on. You know, this desire to have sex comes sooner, and they develop sooner sexually, which is, you know, not truly good, right? And then industrial farm manure that gets into the oceans is causing, like, changing sex in fish and sea life, which is very worrisome, you know, because then you see a lot of young men who are consuming a lot of dairy, they have male boobs and they have problems with their sexuality and their parts of their body, their, you know, reproductive system. Same with girls. So this, again, something has to be done on a global level in the first world countries, at least, you know, where we see this problem the most. So what is actually period, right? Every month, the female interior, you know, like the womb and all this area, whatever is the vagina and so on, basically after the egg is not fertilized, it peels down and it cleans up all the stuff that it doesn't need and all the stuff that maybe baby would use. But what we're noticing with, especially with, not so much with vegan, but more raw vegan and fruitarian women, that they have very weak, or sometimes even they do not have periods almost at all. And first of all, like, everybody freaks out about that, but I believe, and what we're seeing that period is not important. What's important is ovulation. So I'm talking about like, 14 day in your cycle, or 12, between 12 or like, 16 day in your cycle. You notice this white, like egg-like discharge that is basically high quality ovulation. It's just saying to you, you have high quality ovulation. And I have to tell you that, like, since I became fruitarian mostly and detox my body, first of all, on detox, I had 3 months pus and all kinds of stuff coming out of me, out of my girl parts. And then in the second, after 6 months of detoxing, and after a whole year of detoxing, I was bleeding. My bleeding starts on ovulation day. And I was bleeding for 6 days, horribly. I'm talking like 3 super pads, or like I would have to change my cup, my venous cup, like every 2 hours, 1.5 hours. It was horrible. But quite normal, because my body was cleaning. Our body's cleaning with mucus, eliminating mucus, sweating, urine, of course, poopy, and, blood. So I had this for 6 days, and then it stopped. And another thing that we're noticing, when you start detoxing, your hormonal levels will go up and down. So for instance, I had all of my life period on 27 days. All of my life, since I was 16, like I got my period when I was 11, which is way too early. And I think it was because of dairy that I was eating too much before I became vegan with 16 years. And then later, 16 and a half, 17 years, to be exact. And then later, my periods were very painful. I had 6 days, crazy periods, pretty much all of my life, but they were like, 27 on 27 days. I never took birth control. I tried birth control for 2 weeks, and my breasts just blew up. They were like 3-4 times the size as they're now. And I was feeling sick all the time, and I started gaining weight horribly. So I stopped taking it after 2 weeks. And my mom said, no, you're not taking this. So I never took then after that birth control. And so I'm getting a little bit scattered here, but I'm getting to the point. On detox, your periods will go, like for instance, on detox, I had period after 12 days and then 40 days. I never had this craziness before, but it makes sense because when you're detoxing your pituitary gland, your thyroid, your parathyroid, like your ovaries are cleaning up. I had actually dead left ovary before my detox that is activated now. I healed my ovary that was dead for decades on detox with fruits. And, like once after the detox, my period became from these 6 crazy, super painful, PMS crazy as well before time. It turned into 3 days, super normal. I actually don't even know when my period is gonna come. Like, maybe sometimes I'm nervous a little bit, but nothing that I would notice. Not even my husband says like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I don't even know when you have PMS anymore. Before it was like everything was flying and things were being thrown around and you were yelling and crying and all that. So I don't have that anymore after the detox. What's 2.5 years, 3 years now, but I'm not super detoxing, right? I'm like, now I build up and I'm like, trying to keep it like, 80% fruits and the rest is like vegetables and even some cooked vegan foods I'm eating now. I have a friend who's fruitarian 17 years. And she told me she doesn't have period. She lost period after going raw vegan fruitarian, like maybe like a year, 2 years into it. Then she started building, with sprouts and greens and so on, plus all the fruit. And she told me like, but I do have ovulations really well. And she got pregnant. She has 7 kids. So, and no period for 17 years. So what does that tell you? That really periods are not they're not saying that something's wrong with you if you don't have it. They might come back after you're done detoxing, Or you're so clean, your body is so clean that when you get the period, you know, maybe you just squeeze out a little bit of blood and that's it. Women in nature, like, you know, animals in nature, they didn't bleed as much. You know, we know that for sure. She's incredibly fertile. So girls, don't worry about your periods. While you're detoxing, they might go crazy. You might get all kinds of discharges. Use Hilo tea. Use, if you have really strong like infections or something, it's pains, use Parasite M herbs by Dr. Morse. Super helpful for like bacterial issues, and candida, of course. And did I forget something? Take care of yourself, be nice to yourself, meditate, physical activity every day, very important. Go for walks in nature every day. Take care of yourself in a way that, you know, when you're detoxing, try and keep it down on your sexual activities so you don't get exposed, you know, because when you're detoxing, your body's a little bit weaker, your immunity is a little bit down, your body's fighting. So rest and don't go out like partying, and especially this is for young women, partying and having sex with just unknown people, especially if they're non-vegan, or, you know, like it's pretty much more common that you will get some kind of infection or some kind of problems. So be good to yourself. When you're healing your body, try and heal also this attitude towards sex, towards, you know, like sexual relations with other people. And fruit will help you with that, will lift up your consciousness, will make you, you know, want to bond with people on the other level. So hopefully this has been a helpful video to you. I really care about you. Girls, you know, like female rights and female health is something that I'm super interested in. Also fertility and infertility. And if I'm already in infertility, with the help of detox and eating fruits, there's been proven, and also from my clients, reported back to me, a lot of serious problems with ovaries, with tubes, with like, you know, various tumors, cysts, and so on have been cleaned out and fixed. So, you know, if you have problems, and before you do like crazy surgeries and all kinds of like crazy drugs, try naturally. Give yourself time, you know, ask from your doctor if you can get a little bit, some couple of months, and maybe try and clean yourself naturally. And because we do need all these parts of our body. And in general, reproductive system is where women, we store here, you know, stress, we store here toxins, we store here everything. So infertility really comes from, you know, accumulation probably of toxins in here. Some is of course genetic, but you can do a lot in a natural way in healing yourself, and also emotionally work on yourself and energy. All right, take care. Hope you enjoyed this video, and coming back to you soon. I believe I might be interviewing somebody next time who has been healing naturally from serious problems. And let's see, I have about 3 people in mind, but I'm thinking like who I'm gonna start with. So I'm hoping it's gonna be male. So, you know, nobody says I'm sexist and I'm just, you know, cheering for females over here in the natural healing world. But I'm excited. And if you have any questions, if you want to do iridology, if you need health coaching, diet instructions, if you need somebody that will help you go through this emotional turmoil, you know, while you're detoxing and healing naturally, I'm here for you. Okay, contact me anytime, PM me. You know, I would love to work everything for free, and I do a lot of work for free, and I help a lot of people for free. But at the same time, you know, like I do have some fees, so it's just more like, you know, that you appreciate my time more than anything else, because I'm quite affordable. So contact me, guys. Don't be shy, and send you tons of kisses, and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.